Welcome back. Just before the Fulton County indictment was handed down, Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas was on Fox News, where he turned the attention back to, guess who? Hunter Biden.
This is disgraceful. Our country is over 200 years old. We have never once indicted a candidate and a leading candidate for president. And this is Joe Biden and this is the Democrats weaponizing the justice system because they're afraid of the voters. Every time more bad news comes out about Hunter Biden or Joe Biden, you can set a stopwatch within hours. Some clown goes and indicts Donald Trump again.
Okay, Senator. Joining us now, White House correspondent for Bloomberg News, Jordan Fabian. So, Jordan, good to see you. The Hunter Biden smoke show continues. That's certainly predictable that that's the argument that they would be making here. Talk to us, though, from the White House's perspective. I mean, they're going to remain silent, we assume, on Donald Trump and all his indictments. How worried are they, though, politically, that the Hunter Biden matter, and again, this is not apples to apples. It's very different. Hunter Biden's name is not on any ballot. Not for indictments, but just it could provide a distraction and a talking point like this for Republicans.
There's certainly concern, Jonathan. If you look at the trajectory of this case, he was on track to have a plea deal that was essentially going to absolve him of serving any jail time, and that, most importantly for Joe Biden, would resolve this legal matter before he really kicks off his reelection campaign in earnest. Now, because that deal fell apart and because of the way this has progressed, that prosecutor is now a special counsel. That means this case is going to last for months longer, possibly into 2024. And, if Hunter Biden can't agree to some revised deal with the Justice Department, you could see a trial progressing involving the president's son as the president is asking voters to give him 4 more years in the White House.
Yeah, and certainly a nonsensical argument there from Senator Cruz, but the issue does remain. So it does seem, though, that we know that so much of the 2022 case for Democrats, one voiced by President Biden, was that democracy is at stake here. That's going to be the case next year, too. But will he be limited into how he can address that threat if he won't talk about some of these criminal matters? How do they arrange that?
That's a great question, because as you rightly point out, the White House and President Biden have been super careful not to talk about these allegations involving Donald Trump. But if the thrust of his argument against Donald Trump is this guy's committed illegal acts that make him unfit to serve, and, he goes back to Charlottesville, he talks about these themes all the time, he's going to need to thread that needle in some way. And he's going to need to make it in an energetic way, because as we've seen, Donald Trump has been talking nonstop about these cases on social media, at his rallies, to whip up his supporters. And, supporters of Joe Biden on the other side are obviously very upset with Donald Trump's behavior. So they're going to want to hear what Joe Biden has to say.
And even if the president himself feels like he can't, some Democrats likely need to be empowered to talk about it. As one put it to me recently, it's a pretty good argument to make. Vote for our guy. The other guy's going to jail. But on this right now, anyway, the White House seems like they're focused on the business of governing. Get the job done, sort of create that implicit contrast with what's happening with Trump. We know he's heading to Wisconsin today to talk about the economy. Tomorrow, he's marking the 1-year anniversary of the Inflation Reduction Act. That's what he wants to be talking about. But it does seem like the White House is getting, and the president himself, getting a little criticism to how he's responded to these wildfires out in Hawaii.
Yeah, that's right. He appeared to be caught a little flat-footed when he was at the beach over the weekend. He was asked by reporters to comment on the death toll. I mean, this is the deadliest wildfire outbreak in U.S. history, and he essentially said no comment. And so, for a politician who's really prided himself on empathy and compassion, setting up that contrast implicitly with Donald Trump, he kind of failed to meet the moment there. So, I would expect that they're talking in the White House about how the president is going to get out to Hawaii and when, but he'll maybe have a second bite at the apple then.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hear from him today en route to Wisconsin talking about Hawaii, because you're right. That's one that some aides have said they know they need to clean up a little bit. Great stuff, as always, from White House correspondent for Bloomberg News, Jordan Fabian. Thank you, my friend. Great to see you.